Guys, are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My phone is on silent mode. And I'm switching off my alarms. And my timer is on. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, welcome to the MTN 8 semi-final of this leg post-match press conference between Orlando Pirates Football Club and Mamelodi Sundowns Football Club. We are joined by the away team head coach, Coach Cardoso. Is that really happy?
Yeah, my papa will stay very happy.
Coach, if you can please just give us a brief summary of the match from your perspective.
I think it was a match with. Is it working? Yeah, it was a match with different moments.
Please press the button.
1, 2.
Supposed to have a green light.
1, 2. It's green.
Yeah, then we're good.
It was a match with different moments.
It's kind of good.
Well, I had in the press conference before the match, and when I spoke in the pitch before the match, I told that this match would be a match of different moments when you have two strong teams playing for such an important trophy, despite we are still on a semi-final, but both wanting to go to a final. It's obvious normal that you can have different moments to manage throughout the match. But it's very important that the message we pass to our players has to do exactly with that, with the capacity to deal with all those moments and to try to reduce as much as possible the moments that can be discomfortable for us. We know also that Orlando Pirates tries to start the matches very strong. It was important to also start strong. I think we could manage the first half very well. We deal with the intensity. Let me, if I stop every time, it will also take my. Okay.
While we get that sorted, Coach, may I also request the media personnel that's sitting next to the speakers with the phones? That might be the reason why there's feedback.
So it's important that the teams can manage the different moments that happen throughout the match, and that was the message that we gave to the players. I think we started quite well dealing with that intensity in the beginning. We knew what kind of aggressions we could receive. We prevented them, we coped with them, and gradually we started taking control of the match, because it's the way we should always play in order to take control of the matches and play with the ball to be as comfortable as possible, and starting from there to create also our moments. In the first half, there's still a moment that we suffered too much pressure, because our players were all dropping to ask for the ball. On the half time, it was very important to correct that, so that we could have a Tashrik more aggressive, even Arthur more aggressive, so that we could also fix more players from Orlando Pirates on their defense and release more spaces to build. And from there we started being comfortable, and that's how we finished the first half. That's what we wanted to bring for the second one. I think we started quite well, but then as time went by, we start losing the capacity to have the brain in the right place to think the right things. And emotionality grew inside the pitch, and because of that we had some difficulties to cope with aggressivity that in terms of actions in the spaces that Orlando Pirates put in the last 10 minutes. Anyway, the goal comes from a mistake that penalizes us obviously in a result that was very comfortable, but well, everything is on how it started, and now second match to be played.
We're now open for questions from the floor. As per norm, we've got a roving mic. Please identify yourself as well as the media company you represent prior to asking a question. Are there any questions? Okay, this is going to be almost finished in record time.
Good evening, Coach.
We saw Timber leave the picture on a stretcher. Do you perhaps have an update on him? And just on Orlando Pirates, how different do you think they are this season as compared to last season?
I'm the coach of Mamelodi Sundowns. If you ask about my team, I will give you answers about. You will wait for the coach of Pirates. He'll speak about his team. Regarding, of course, Tembazwane, let's hope it's not something severe. I don't really have the assessment still, but as soon as we have that assessment, we'll make it public. Okay, I really don't know.
Can I ask that we'll take the next 3 sets of questions. Are there any other questions? Mazola noted. Third, Lolo noted. Let's go, Timber.
Timber Shawala, from Sports Coach. This match definitely feels probably like it's a loss for you, looking at how it happened. Does this change now the approach that you have for the match coming, and looking at how your team against Orlando Pirates gave us all a beautiful match to remember? Just take us through your emotions as you were watching the match. I mean, the last 10 minutes became something else where anyone could have taken it, but it ended in a stalemate.
Well, that's your evaluation. I don't really agree with your evaluation. You remember me, a politician that we had in Portugal, that every time there was elections, he was always winner. You stating that we lost a match? No, we didn't lost any match. There's a draw, and it doesn't sense me as a loss. Obviously, that we would like to take it home a victory. But if you would ask any coach that will come to play here, if you would before the match take it a 1-1. I would not say that I would be comfortable, but I would also not say that it would be discomfortable. I think we are in halfway. Obviously that I felt that we could take that advantage until the end, and we tried to do it, but also we need to understand that that's 2 quality teams, and Orlando Pirates has capacity to aggress us. We try to give answers with the resources that we have. Unfortunately, I would like to have been able to keep the team more aggressive in the front so that we could also threaten more, but it was not possible exactly. And in the end, look, when you're going to see it's a mistake that allows Pirates to score in the same way that we could have scored, because if you remember first half we had 2-3 moments to define the match. We have even in second half set pieces 2 times. Grant had it on the side from a corner that he could have scored. We have Ikram's shot that we saw the goalkeeper from Orlando Pirates making another fantastic save. So a very equal game, not played same way by both teams, but what to expect rather than that from a derby where rivalry is on the end, on the top, where people understand cheering and pushing, putting also that pressure, taking a little bit the emotions from our side to a place that we should not be. We should always be with the head 100% committed what we had to do, and there was clear instructions for that, but it's exactly how it's football played by human beings that have emotions, and sometimes I think it was a very interesting game for sure for who saw from the outside. And it's not a matter of being happy or not happy, it's the reality. I don't deal with that emotions. The reality is 1-1. Both coaches will do their homework, try to see how to approach the next game, but before we still have to play Magesi, what is the most important one of our lives. And from there we'll see what will happen after, who will be available, and how we're going to prepare the following match. Thank you.
Okay, Coach Ibrahim Mazola from SABC Sport. A lot of sort of forced changes from either side. What would you put that down to, and do you think it's something that both teams can avoid going into the second day? Is it because it's early on, the aggression of the match and so on?
I don't have still the data from the information, the numbers regarding the intensity of the match, what kind of, how many, but I think that the match was very intense. I'm pretty sure that the number of meters that the team ran in average, and the players and the high intensity actions were very high. And when you raise the level of the high intensity actions, because both teams wanted to press, both teams wanted, and Orlando Pirates always stretched the game since the beginning, putting long balls in the back, making us also run back. So there was a lot of runs that the players had to do from both sides. And that obviously has an impact, especially on the players that depend on speed in our side, like Tashrik, Artur, even Ikram was tired in the end. I didn't really notice why the substitutions of Pirates were done, but obviously they did their substitutions. But I take it as normal. When you raise the intensity of the games, the players that depend more on speed, they are usually punished. The question here is if you have the level to substitute to them in the same way so that you can keep the game under the same pattern of the way you want to play it until the end. That is obviously the answer that you need to give.
Coach, you're Coach, News from Africa over here, Coach. Unfortunately, Coach, you lost your talisman and captain Timber Zwane early in the game. How did that impact what you wanted to do tactically in this game? How much did you have to alter your game plan, if at all? And while many might argue that for Orlando Pirates, their substitutes might have injected a bit of venom back into the team, how do you assess the impact of your substitutes in the game?
Thank you. Look, the impact of the substitutions has also a lot to do with the context where we are playing. We are playing home of Orlando Pirates in a stadium with 2/3, maybe of it full of their own fans, creating an environment that is obviously positive. And the last minutes of the game, Orlando Pirates pushed the game to the limit to try to go for a goal. They had to do it. And that obviously it seems that the impact of the substitutions brings something more than what we did. We tried to make our substitutions to deal with that moment and keep capacity to aggress Orlando Pirates. And I think if we don't make the mistake that we did on that action, we would be saying that we deal quite well with the situation. But unfortunately, we always look the fact that there was a goal, there's a draw that came in the end. That obviously the substitution from Pirates brought energy, and ours brought answers. The only question is that we had one less substitution moment that had some importance on the game, because we had to burn one on the first half when we had to substitute Temba. And that obviously gives the coach less moments to change the game. Probably you understood that we were in doubt about because we knew that they would have 3 moments to change the game and to impact. But we had only 2 to give answer. But obviously it's sometimes, so we needed to make more changes than we wanted in a row at once. That's basically why it was eventually more difficult for us to manage the game, because we knew that when Apolis enters and Sibele entered as a right back, dropped as a right back by the substitution from Van Rooyen, obviously that we would have a double aggression on that side, with Apolis coming inside and the fullback going as a winger, keeping his position as a winger. So we substituted immediately there Aubrey by Divine, trying to bring some energy inside the pitch. And in that moment we could have done a second substitution, but we decided just to do one, because Arthur had to come out on that moment. He was not feeling good. And we said, let's just make one, push Aubrey on the right wing as a right winger. It seems something crazy, but it's not, because he's a left-footed and he knows how to play in the pockets. So he was not playing wide. He's supposed to come inside and play as a midfielder. So it was pretty, and with that we won some time to then understand how we would answer to the next moment of substitutions from Pirates, what would happen for sure. That's when we made our substitutions with the intention to close the game, let's say, because we had no more opportunities to do it. So we had to, let's do what we have to do. So regarding Temba, no one likes to lose a player. First, a player like Temba that has maturity to deal with this kind of ambiances and matches, but to burn one moment of substitutions. I think Jayden gave a good answer. Jayden is also a very high-quality player. It didn't change a lot the plan. We changed the plan throughout the match, trying to manage what was happening, the pressure from Pirates, trying to get control of the match. I think we did quite a few tactical approaches on the positioning of the players that allowed us eventually to take, in some of the moments, control of the match. And that is the beautiful side of the game, of course, the tactical work that the coaches do from one side and the other, trying to take control of the match and being as aggressive as possible.
We'll take the final 3 questions, starting with Lawrence, Masikepe, and the final one going to David.
Coach Vince from Just Times. I think it's getting to a point now where even your supporters are asking what's happening with Ribeiro, why is it not transparency around it? Obviously not picturing training is even in the country. And then secondly, I know you said specifically that Sales would not replace Ribeiro, but do you think he's got a little bit more energy, lease of life, more responsibility, because it looks like he's got a much bigger intensity, drives the team forward in the first half, he was really good.
No one should compare any player that will play as a right winger, whatever position he is more out or more in, or no one should compare to players. There's no players. We cannot now make a copycat of one player that is not in the moment with the team. I don't think it's up to me to give answer to the question of Lucas. For sure, in the proper time, we will know everything that has or happened with him. But regarding Arthur, obviously Arthur is giving a good answer. I think Arthur is doing well, showing dynamic, showing that he understands what the team wants from that position, bringing his game to help the team. And as I said, no one should expect one player to replace another. It's just one player that plays in the same position that another one was playing. So the game will become different, but we'll have to use the characteristics that we have from Arthur, that he's showing himself, that he's being better and better match after match. So let's hope he can stabilize his performance in a very high level, because it's a player that we trust.
Thank you, Fati, for escorting that person out. Just a reminder, guys, this is a professional environment, and let's be respectful of each other's time. I asked at the beginning that we put our cell phones in silent mode. Please ensure that you've done so. Thank you. Next question should be Masikete. The next, excuse me, Masikete is next. Can you give the microphone to Masikete? Thank you.
Masikete, Power FM. Coach, I think Tashrik, there's been a couple of really big misses from the Champions League, Club World Cup. Today there was a very big one. How do you get him to get past that? Because he seems to get into the areas that I would think you want, but he just can't seem to finally get it. And then the second one is on your wingers, because you say that you wanted the aggression, but I mean I don't think I could count a number of times, maybe I didn't see where your wingers got behind the Pirates, fullbacks. Is that the plan? You don't want them going there, you want them going into the channels, or maybe you can just explain how you like your wingers to play.
Yeah, I totally understand the question and why you put it. And it's two questions basically. I think that what we ask from a winger, from a player that closes outside, is that he can manage different understandings regarding what's happening in the pitch. The football is about spaces, and they have always to relate with spaces. The football is understanding what is happening inside the pitch. And for example, in the first half, there's a moment that we were receiving higher pressure. And we were receiving higher pressure because our wingers were not making movements on the space. So it was very comfortable for the defense of Pirates to go up, because only Wikram was doing those movements. That's exactly the corrections that we did. I didn't want Arthur to drop too much. I didn't want Tashrik to drop too much. You saw that Tashrik some moments was playing out wide, sometimes was inside, and I brought him more inside, so I fixed him more inside so that we could have more aggression, because he's a very intelligent player on doing those moments and movements, and giving more width for Nobre, balancing the middle more with the midfielders, so dropping more, not Temba, but in that moment already Jaden, to keep balance and to overload the middle. So, but obviously it's important that the players that play in the front, they can play here and there, and manage where are the spaces. The spaces, there's space between lines, okay, we can gravitate, occupy more spaces in between lines. There's no space, we need to create it. How we create it? We can attract the opponent team, but we can also aggress them so that we stretch the team. Basically, it's always a matter of fixing the width, fixing the length, and creating spaces out of those movements. So that's something we work. Tashrik, when he plays inside, he's very capable to do that. Arthur is not such a player that goes too much on the spaces, so that's his characteristic. Also, before, Lucas Ribeiro was not a player that was too much going on the spaces. But there are moments that even if they are not naturally fit for that, not fit, it's not exactly the way they mostly like to play, but they need to do it in favor of the team, because it's what the game is asking for. So that was one of the corrections that we did exactly at halftime. Let's understand where are the spaces. If the defense is high, please aggress there, so we can drop that defense, and we drop numbers, and then we build with more comfort. So that's exactly the things that the winger needs to understand. But that is a team collective thought, let's say, what's happening and how we have to relate. And that's why I always say that the teams are in shape, they are capable when they are thinking the same things at the same time and interpreting what is in the pitch. And that's exactly when the emotions are not the best ones, that they stop thinking, making these thoughts. And they start just going on the noise, on the emotionality, on losing the capacity to analyze, evaluate, process, and give answer on positioning, on passing, because that is what allows the team to have control of the match. But sometimes it's not exactly like that, because, as I said before, this game is played by men. Computers would not do those mistakes. AI would not do those mistakes. They would immediately, okay, the defense is here, let's aggress there, because then we can generate spaces. Where are the spaces available to play on the other side? So let's put the ball there. But unfortunately, or naturally, not unfortunately, naturally the game is not exactly sometimes like that. But that's what we try to build, the capacity to collectively understand the moments of the game, the spaces that you have, and use them. And for that we have different dynamics. And when we play good, has a lot to do with doing this well. For example, in the last match with Amazulu, first half was not so good as second one, because exactly of that. There was bad positioning towards the spaces that were available on the pitch, and we had to reorganize ourselves, or set back, discuss, show at halftime images, look how we are positioned, look the spaces that exist. And that's why sometimes in second halves coaches need to make substitutions, because that dynamic changes, because the other coach also changes players, so the game changes. And that's why having one less moment to make substitutions restrains the creativity of a coach to give answer to what is happening permanently in the pitch.
Sorry.
We'll now take the final question. We've got a final question. We've exceeded our time. Please ask that to follow up with the coach. Probably he's answered at least one of your questions. Regular, can we keep it to one question, please? That's the final question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Coach, I'm here, Federico from SABC Sport. You've been saying since midweek that this tie is about the two legs, and you are also living here with a crucial away goal. And when I look at your program, it's an intense 8 days, and traveling back from Polokwane next week for the second leg. Does this away goal become a big factor in how you plan for the second leg, prioritization and everything, how you form for that game?
Look, a football team must think always first on the next match, because every match has impact on what's going to happen after. So obviously that scoring one goal away can make a difference, but just can. Depends on a lot of what is going to happen on the second match. Of course, that we know that if we keep Pirates without scoring, we go through. But we know that Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns have capacity to score goals in the second leg, because it's teams that usually score goals. It's quite difficult to stay with a 0. And if you think about not conceding, for sure you're going to concede. You need to play the next match to win, because if you win, you go through. That's the biggest advantage that we got, is knowing that if we win the match home, it's enough. So, because there's no more matches to be played. For me, that is the biggest advantage. But of course we stay, it's good that we scored. It's a slight advantage that in a draw, 0-0 gives us advantage. But in a 1-1 already is not valid, and then a 2-2 it's already against us. So.
On that note, we've come to the conclusion of our press conference. We'll be
Thank you
back
very much.
shortly with the Orlando Pirates coach. Thank you.